What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. We got an amazing lineup for the quarterfinals at the Monte Carlo Masters. We'll recap the round of 16 and take a look at our quarterfinal picks. Let's get started. Here's a look at Alcaraz's half of the draw. And, first match we're going to talk about is Alcaraz against Bublik. Alcaraz against Etcheverry. What a match. I mean, you have Etcheverry coming in, and he looked for the first set and a couple of games. He looked very outmatched. Alcaraz just using his clay court prowess, the drop shot, the forehand. Etcheverry had no answer. He was way too far back to begin with. I mean, you can't give Alcaraz that much room when he's got that lethal of a drop shot. And Alcaraz just using everything in the arsenal against Etcheverry in the first set. The next set, we saw Alcaraz throw in kind of a sloppy game to get broken, a few errors, and that was all that Etcheverry needed. I mean, you're talking about a guy who has a lot of confidence on the clay. He's got a lot of wins on the clay, and once he got up the break, he started to loosen up. Because obviously, like when you're getting steamrolled by Carlos, everything feels like it's not going right. Every ball you're hitting is coming back with interest. But once he got that break, he was able to step in on the forehand. He started to hit the forehand a lot more aggressively, and he's able to hang on and get that 6-4 set. Third set, a little bit closer than obviously the first set, but Alcaraz able to get that nice break in the beginning of the set. The first service game of Etcheverry in the third set, he gets broken, and Carlos is able to ride that out to a 6-3 win. Just a little bit too much scoreboard pressure for Etcheverry to come back from. The announcers talked about how Etcheverry had never won a top 10 match against some of these guys, but he put up one heck of a fight. I mean, I'm happy that he was able to play this close, because it would really stink to see a guy, that's got that clay court mentality, that's had a lot of success on the clay. We talked about how Etcheverry has won a 500 this year, and it just would look like if he lost 1-1, I just would have been a little bit disappointed. But he was able to put up a fight against Carlos and really, really brought out the best of Carlos Alcaraz, which is what we always love to see. So Alcaraz advances 6-1, 4-6, 6-3. He takes on Alexander Bublik, who was able to beat Lehecka. And this pick we had wrong. And honestly, guys, like I was watching this match and I was like, why did I pick Lehecka? I know Lehecka's had some success on the clay, and Bublik's only had realistically one successful year on the clay. I mean, you look at before 2025, he was 5-6 in 2024, 7-9 in 2023, 2-6 in 2022, 4-6 in 2021. But now he's really found his footing, and we talked about at the beginning of this tournament in our draw reaction, he wasn't playing well on the hard courts. Was he going to get here, get his feet on the clay, and start to take off? And it kind of looks like it. I thought he played extremely well. He served very well. 71%, won 89% of his first serves. I mean, that's extremely effective. Just giving Lehecka tons of problems with the variety of serve that he was throwing at him. Not just the flat serve. He was throwing in some slices, even some kicks to get them away aggressively against Lehecka. I mean, Bublik just full display, looked extremely good. Again, same thing. The drop shots were there. The big forehand was there. And he was able to target a lot more aggressively to that Lehecka backhand. We always talk about if you can hit aggressively to that side, it's very difficult for Lehecka to kind of get back into the point. He likes to be the one dictating. And, I got to give a little bit of credit to Lehecka. He played very well. You could see the all-around game. He was able to get some points with the forehand. The volleys looked pretty good coming in. It's just, Bublik was knocking on the door every single time on his service games and then holding with relative ease in the second set. You just knew it was coming. And once he had that pressure game serving to stay in it at 6-5, Lehecka gets broken. First match point, Bublik's able to convert. and he wins 6-2, 7-5. Very nice match for Bublik. We remember Lehecka able to get to the finals of Miami. He's playing good tennis as well. So this was nice for Bublik. I think Lehecka's got a little bit more time that he's got to use to get comfortable on this surface here. But Bublik looks like, he's really hit the ground running. Now he takes on Alcaraz, and this will be a much bigger test for him. Looking at their head-to-head, guys, I'm so surprised they have never played. That's crazy to me. You got two guys. You got Bublik, who is number 11, two top 10 guys, basically. And they have not played a single match against each other. Bublik coming off that win over Lehecka, beat Monfils 6-4, 6-4 in the second round. Alcaraz with the win over Baez in the second round, 6-1, 6-3, and then the 3-set win over Etcheverry. Alcaraz sitting at 2-0 on the clay, only two matches in Monte Carlo. He was 22-1 last year, 17-4 the year before. Bublik sitting at 2-0 this year, 23-6 last year, 5-6 the year before. This one feels a little bit trickier than it really should be. I just liked what I saw from Bublik. I think he's gonna be able to challenge Carlos, especially the movement of Carlos. That's what I felt like. He really exposed, Lehecka not being able to come in on his own terms a lot of the time. We saw Bublik being able to pass him off some of those drop shots. So I think we're going to see some of that. I do feel like that Etcheverry match has kind of gotten Carlos going. I think another, if it was 6-1, 6-2 Alcaraz over Etcheverry, I'd be a little bit hesitant because I would say, Bublik is really going to push him a lot harder than those last two guys. But having been pushed now, we know Carlos is going to be ready and raring to go for this match. I think we're going to see one tiebreak set, and that'll be Bublik's chance to win that set. If he's able to take that set, then I think it's anyone's game. If Carlos wins the first set and it's a tough set, I think it's going to be a 6-3 second set from Carlos. I don't like taking Bublik when he's behind. I always think that's a little bit harder because he's the type of guy. He's a good front runner. I don't like him when he's kind of trailing down a set or down in the Grand Slams down 2 sets. I'm gonna go with Carlos. I'm gonna say straight sets. I know a lot of people are probably gonna say. Sorry, I know a lot of people are saying after the Etcheverry match, this is probably gonna be a 3-setter with Bublik, but I think it's going to be. I think it's gonna be a straight setter. I think Carlos has the strengths to really bother Bublik as well. He's going to make him move. He's not going to let him set up. I'm very interested to see kind of how that Bublik serve variety is going to bother Carlos. I don't think it's going to bother him as much as it did Lehecka, so we'll have to see on that. But my pick here is Carlos in straight sets. And our next quarterfinal is Vacherot taking on DeMinaur. And Vacherot just wrapping up. What a war he went through to beat Hurkacz. I mean, that was a back and forth match. Both guys giving it everything they had. Vacherot at the end, to hold on. Hurkacz with a couple of break chances. A little bit of a nervy game from Vacherot, but he has the crowd behind him. Just an awesome atmosphere, and he's going to carry that into the quarterfinals. He's able to advance in a very tough match, 6-7, 6-3, 6-4. Let's also not forget he did come out with a very good start, goes up a break, and Hurkacz able to fight back there. Maybe I have to reevaluate Hurkacz a little bit, but we'll see. This is one tournament for him. Let's see how he does in the next tournament. I think he's playing next week, so we'll see how he does there and kind of evaluate and see what we think about him for the French Open. The other round of 16 match was Alex DeMinaur taking on Alexander Blockx. And DeMinaur, I like the way, he started. He came out and he started with a little bit of a defensive mindset, which I think is pretty smart for him because that's more natural for him. And I think if he felt like Blockx was going to give him errors, he would have been like, fine, I'll take it and just roll through this match. But Blockx was able to get up a break using his offense, and then about 6 games in, we saw DeMinaur change that game plan and play a little bit more offensive, start to take it to Blockx, take a few balls earlier, and we saw him start to move Blockx around a little bit more. Blockx not as comfortable moving and hitting his ball. He likes to be able to stay in front of the ball and dictate on offense. The power of Blockx was still extremely impressive here. He had a lot of opportunities in both sets to win it, but DeMinaur just a little bit too good. The defense is too good. He was tracking down a lot of those shots, and I felt like Blockx started to overhit a little bit in some of those bigger moments. Maybe a little bit of fatigue getting out here to the round of 16, your first round of 16 of a master series, and then also playing a top 5 guy. A lot of pressure on him, but overall a very good match. DeMinaur DeMinaur top 10 guy, and just a great way for Blockx to kind of build his confidence in a match like that. Looking at the head-to-head here for Vacherot and DeMinaur, these guys have not met before. We have Vacherot coming in. He is 2-0. As is DeMinaur. They've only played here on the Monte Carlo clay. Last year, Vacherot was 24-12 on the clay, and DeMinaur was 10-5 on the clay. The year before, Vacherot 15-9, DeMinaur 10-5 again. A lot of consistency from DeMinaur. Not too good, not too bad from him. He's just able to kind of get through again, get to these quarterfinal stages where he eventually falls to a better clay quarter. Is that the case here? I don't think so. I think this is going to be a DeMinaur match. I feel like DeMinaur's playing good tennis. I think that the moment might be a little bit too big for Vacherot. I know, I get it. He's been able to take out Massetti. He's been able to take out Hurkacz, and Massetti top 5, Hurkacz former world number 6. So he's taken out 2 very solid players. But I think DeMinaur is going to be a little bit too tricky for him. I like what I'm seeing from DeMinaur. I think he's using that all-around game on the clay, and he's starting to I loved the aggression that I saw today, like taking the ball early, not giving Blockx a chance to set up on his shots. That's what he's going to be able to do against Vacherot, and especially like Vacherot with that backhand. I feel like that's a little bit of a step down. That's going to be a big target tomorrow for DeMinaur to put a lot of the pressure on that side of Vacherot. I'm going to go with DeMinaur. Something tells me this is going to go a little bit crazy. Probably a 3-setter, maybe a tough 2-setter. So give me DeMinaur to advance in 3 sets. And here's a look at Alcaraz's half of the draw. An Alcaraz-DeMinaur semifinal would be awesome. Guys, I would love nothing more than to see a Vacherot-Alcaraz semifinal with the crowd behind him, Vacherot being the hometown hero. I think that would be awesome. I just think DeMinaur is going to be a little bit too tall of a task for Vacherot, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's move on to the next part of the draw. Here's a look at Sinner's half of the draw. First match we're going to talk about is Fonseca taking on Alexander Zverev. Excited for this match. Fonseca getting through Berrettini, and this was definitely much-watched tennis, guys. If there was one match that you would be able to sit down and watch, I really think it's this Berrettini-Fonseca match. I know it was only 6-3, 6-2, but there was just a lot of shot making. The crowd was really into it, and both guys were giving it their all. Fonseca just looks so good, and we talk about how this is like Fonseca 2.0 here. His game is starting to come together. He's playing a lot smarter. He has all the pieces. He's got the speed. He's got the athleticism. He's got the touch. Look at how many times did Berrettini hit a drop shot that Fonseca was able to come up and just hit another redrop or a perfectly hit ball. And then he also has the power to back it up on both ground strokes. That forehand looked so lethal today. There were some balls that he was hitting. It was even hard to see it. It was going so fast. Unreal stuff from João Fonseca today to beat Berrettini. And we know Berrettini is a pretty solid clay quarter. Hasn't had a lot of good clay wins this year, but in the past, he hasn't been bad on the clay, so nice for Fonseca to get through him 6-3, 6-2, and move on to the quarterfinals. He will take on Alexander Zverev, who took out Zizou Bergs today, and this match was this was a little bit of an uglier match, less entertaining. Bergs, a lot of misses to start the match, and I wasn't sure if it was nerves or maybe he was just misfiring. This is kind of what his game was. A lot of times he would set the point up really well, and he would just go for something too big and miss it, or he'd come into net and just miss the volley wide. The difference in the second set was he started to make a lot more of those shots and kind of challenged Zverev with his offense. He was really pushing Zverev back a lot on his ground strokes. So he didn't look bad in the second. Zverev obviously tough enough to get through that second set 7-5. He's an extremely tough player to play on this surface, the clay. Zverev able to get through 6-2, 7-5 over Bergs. And barely expend any energy either. That was an hour and 51 match. Fonseca's was only an hour and 13. Very entertaining hour and 13 minutes for Fonseca. Looking at this head-to-head, these guys have not met before. Again, another interesting quarterfinal. I mean, how many of these Master Series quarters, guys, we see a lot of it where these guys haven't met before, and it kind of shows you the depth of the game that now we have some guys. You got Fonseca, he's ranked 40 right now. Obviously, he's going to be much higher next week. And of course, the top 30 guys that are going to be seeded for the French Open, top 32, they don't want to see Fonseca being a dangerous floater. They want him seeded so that they do not draw him early, because he can be danger for anybody. Even some of these top 10 guys, he can be an extremely tough matchup. Which I think he's going to crack the top 30 anyways going into the French. But yeah, no, a lot of head-to-heads we haven't seen yet. I mean, the Bublik Alcaraz one kind of surprised me, but this one also surprises me a little bit. And this is the farthest Fonseca's made it in a Master Series, I believe. Correct me, guys, if I'm wrong, but I think this is the farthest he's made it here, and now he's trying to go even farther. No head-to-head for these guys. We got Fonseca, who is 4-2 right now on the clay, 8-5 last year, 14-11 the year before. Zverev, who was 2-0 this year on the clay, only these two Monte Carlo matches, 18-7 last year, 23-6 the year before. He does have a lot of success on the clay. He is 208-86. So only 86 losses on the clay, and he's been playing since 2013. That's pretty solid. It's important to note, too, that Fonseca, he played Indian Wells and Miami, and his two losses were to Sinner, 7-6, 7-6, and Alcaraz, 6-4, 6-4. So it's really taken a quality player in the last, 3.5 weeks, to take him out. Can Zverev do it? Yes. If he serves really well, it's going to be very difficult, because I think Zverev can put the pressure on the Fonseca serve, and sometimes Fonseca has some of these loose service games, and if you have one of those and Zverev serving extremely well, it's going to be a little bit of trouble for you. But I haven't seen Zverev look very crisp so far on the clay. And I think that's the thing, obviously getting through Garin, he had a losing head-to-head record against him. That's a nice win. Gets through Bergs. Bergs not having the best season. Now he's going up against a red-hot Fonseca, who's able to beat Diallo, Raducanu, Berrettini. God, I don't know if I can do it. I want to go with Fonseca. I really do. This is going to be a 3-setter in my opinion. I think, and honestly, in those tight matches, I want to go with the guy that's going to have the crowd on his side, the guy that's got nothing to lose, and the guy that has the huge stroke, the huge ground strokes that can pummel a forehand, and that's Fonseca. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Fonseca in 3 sets. I think this is going to be a breakout moment for him, getting to the semifinals. I think we're finally going to see it. it's all going to come together. He's going to beat Zverev in 3 sets. Give me Fonseca in 3. Next match is Felix Auger-Aliassime taking on Jannik Sinner. And Felix able to get through Casper Ruud. Really tough first set against Ruud. Ruud up a break early. Felix able to fight back. And I really liked what I saw from Felix. Ruud had to retire in the second set. He said at the net to Felix, that the injury, he started to feel it at the beginning of the second set. It kind of came on fast. So I guess that indicates maybe he didn't feel it in the first. Because I thought Felix played the better set. Ruud, exactly what we talk about with him, just too many errors in the big points. I mean, how many times do we see him open the court up, use the forehand? It's like a 10-shot rally, maybe like an 8-shot rally, and he gets the look and he just overhits it. And that, I saw that over and over and over again from Casper Ruud today. And if he can make those shots, he's the better clay courter by far. But he was just missing those. Felix doing a good job at making him hit 1, 2 extra shots. The one thing that I liked, I felt like Felix is changing that game. He's a little bit more clay-centered now, especially when he was pulled out wide. When Casper would pull him out wide on the forehand, I'm so used to seeing Felix kind of hit the ball very hard, aggressive middle. Now I'm seeing like a very heavy spin ball to push them back. And Felix has that aggressive topspin that he can use. And I was really impressed with things like that. The adjustment that he's made to be more effective on this service. And he talked a little bit about that in his post-match interview too, how he feels like he's playing very well. And we're talking about a guy, who hasn't had much success on the clay. 3 wins last year, 17 wins the year before that. Now he's 2-0 here going into the quarterfinals. I mean, looking pretty solid here from Felix. He's going to take on Jannik Sinner, and Sinner had his 30-set match win streak snapped by Thomas Machac today, who was up a double break in that second set and let it slip away. You thought, oh, wow, here we go again. It's going to be Sinner in a breaker. And Machac just able to come up with some big shots. And that was something that the first set, it looked like more of the same. And I know, like I told you guys, I thought it was going to be a straight setter. And it really looked like it was going that way. Sinner wins the first set. Machac just misfiring a little bit. Sinner just on top of the ball every single time. And then Machac starts connecting with a few of these shots. He's able to use his offense. He's able to come into net now. He's able to back his forehand up with some drop shots, because Sinner's defending the big, heavy forehand of Machac. And we started to see, it's a shame that this guy continues to get injured and have to retire because he has so much potential. Like he has top 10, maybe even top 5 potential. The way that he played today really showed it. And kind of interesting, the difference between that match and the Alcaraz match. I felt like Alcaraz's level dipped a little bit. I didn't feel like Sinner's level dipped. I thought Machac really took it away from Sinner. And then Sinner able to turn it on, gets an early break in the third, and he's able to hang on for a 6-1, 6-7, 6-3 win over Thomas Machac to advance to the quarterfinals. Looking at the head-to-head here against Auger-Aliassime, it is 4-2 for Sinner. Sinner winning the last 4 matches. So at one point, this was 2-0 Auger-Aliassime. Strangely enough, though, Felix has the 1 win on the clay in 2022. They played in Madrid. Felix won 6-1, 6-2 in the third round over Sinner. Their most recent matchup, let's talk about, they played 4 times in 2025. Let's go through all of those. They played in Cincinnati. Sinner was able to win 6-0, 6-2 in the quarterfinals. They played at the U.S. Open, and you guys remember that. Felix making that deep run to the semifinals, and Sinner's able to win 6-1, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. Felix really connecting with the ball there. He looked great in that U.S. Open. They played in the Paris Masters, and Sinner's able to win 6-4, 7-6. And then they played in Turin, and Sinner was able to win 7-5, 6-1. I think we're going to see a Sinner win here. It would really shock me if Felix was able to get the win, but I do think that a match like this is I feel like Felix is playing good, better clay court tennis. This is a barometer to see how much better are you playing. If he loses like 2-2, then there's a lot that they got to go back to the drawing board and figure out. But if this is a tough like 7-5, 6-4 match, I think you have a lot of confidence going into the rest of the clay season and the French Open that he could potentially make a deep run. I think this is going to be like a 7-5, 6-4 type match for Sinner to win. I don't see Felix with a path to winning this match, but we'll have to see. But I think Sinner's going to advance. He's going to advance in straight sets. Give me Sinner in straights. And here's a look at Sinner's half of the draw. I mean, a Sinner-Fonseca matchup would be great. A Sinner-Zverev matchup would also be good. That would be our third straight Masters series getting a Sinner-Zverev matchup. So we'll have to wait and see. I think Fonseca is going to be able to take this. I did realize, I know I normally do the pictures with each of them, so I'll do that for the semis. I like kind of having them. When you look at it, we have the head-to-head there listed as well on the records, so I'll do that for the semis. But let's move on to our records for round of 16. Here's a look at our round of 16 record. 6-2 is pretty good, so we're happy with that. Hopefully we can keep it up going into the quarterfinals. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We will have a video out every single day recapping the matches that happen and giving you some picks for the next day. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next video.